Hey guys, this is Charles Yeager with Metal. In this quick tutorial, we're going to take a look at the mirrors effect that's a part of Mantra VR. Alright guys, inside of After Effects, I'm going to come to the Effects and Presets panel, and I'm going to type in VR. That's going to toggle all of the Mantra VR effects, and I'm going to select the mirrors effect and apply it to my 360 footage. Now I like to think of the mirrors effect kind of as like an inversion of the magnifying glass effect. You can see here we have a circle very similar to the magnify effect, but again we're seeing a reflection directly across from this pole in the shot. So you can see right across from there, we're getting a reflection. So it's just like a giant mirror in our scene. So if we look at the effects controls, we have frame layout for monoscopic or stereoscopic footage. Next we have a point of interest control, and we can select and move the mirror around our 360 shot. And you can see how it's auto-orienting. Wherever we place this, it's going to be facing us right now by default anyway. Next we have field of view, and we can actually adjust this to determine how large or small the actual mirror reflected area is. I'm actually going to go ahead and reset this, and I'm going to set this to be 180 degrees just to show you something pretty unique here. And I'm going to come down here, and for the feather, I'm going to bring this down really low to something like 0.01. Now you can see something pretty interesting happening on our footage right now. We have a perfect mirror reflection of 180 degrees of our shot, so you can see I can actually move this, the point of interest, on the horizontal axis, and it's a seamless reflection. So for whatever reason, if you wanted to repeat your 360 footage one side of it seamlessly, you could easily do that using this method. So you can see as I move that around, it's just a seamless reflection of the terrain. We can go in here to the Metal Globe preview. I'm just going to double click, and we can look around the scene. And you can see it's just reflected off both sides, and it is seamless. So that's a pretty cool use case using the mirrors effect for that. I'm going to double click out of that. Now the reason you want to set the feather down to something very low like 0.01 as opposed to all the way down to 0, occasionally you can get little line artifacts. Really it'll depend on your footage. So just to avoid those, I like to set that on something again really low like 0.01. And that'll get rid of any artifacting if there is any on your footage. It tends to vary from shot to shot. So I'm going to come back up here and reset the effect. Now our next option is use perspective camera. And I'm going to jump right back to this in just a second. Let's go ahead and look at the tilt and the pan. So we can go ahead and tilt and pan the mirror here on the X and Y axis, and you can kind of see what that's doing. Again, just like a mirror in 3D space in our scene. Now with the perspective camera, you'll notice when I rotate this, it's currently orthographic. So if I go ahead and rotate it kind of on the back here, we can see a little bit easier. You can see that the top and the bottom of the mirror both look like they're about the same distance apart from us. It's kind of like we're looking at this from a very long millimeter lens, which looks good, and in a lot of cases it's probably what you're going to want, but it's not technically correct for some object that's in the 3D world. And if we go ahead and turn on use perspective camera, it's going to make it a non-orthographic view, and you can see how it's a little more distorted, and so the bottom half is a little bit closer to us than the top, and you can see that a little bit more when I rotate this, you can see. And so it's just kind of giving a more realistic projection there, and that's what the use perspective camera option does. So I'm going to come back up here and reset the effect again, and now we're going to look at the auto orient. So currently when I move the mirror around, you can see it's automatically going to be facing the center of the scene. And if I turn off auto orient, I'm actually going to move this back to the center. If I turn off auto orient, you're going to see when I move this around, it's actually going to rotate. You can see it's like I'm pulling it away from wherever it was facing. It's not going to auto orient to the center. So if I move it over here, you can see how it's kind of twisted the mirror up a little bit there. If I select auto orient, it's going to turn it back so it's always facing the direct center camera of our 360 shot. So we've already looked at the tilt and pan some, so let's go ahead down here and look at the feather. If I go ahead and increase this, you can see we get this nice feathering around the edges of our mirror. I'll just zoom in here so we can see this a little bit closer. So obviously this would help with compositing certain elements if you needed to. Next we have the draw background. If I go ahead and uncheck this, it's only going to show us the mirror area. And this is on an alpha channel. If I come down here and check that on, you can see it is on an alpha channel. So that makes that really quick and easy. I'm going to go ahead and check that back on. And finally we have the opacity, where we can just keyframe the opacity of the overall effect. I'm going to go ahead and reset the effect again just so we're back to the normal looking mirror here. And of course we have the distribution controls down here. Go ahead and check that down. We have distribution type and number of instances, so we can go ahead and increase this. So we get lots of different mirrors in here. We can select and move this around to control them. And we have all the other normal distribution options such as distribution type. So I can change this to circle. I'll just move this down here to the bottom, and you can see we get a nice ring around the footage. And we can do some other adjustments with the latitude and then rotate around the point of interest. And of course we can go ahead and adjust the field of view if we want the mirrors to be bigger. I'm going to change this back to Fibonacci. And I'll go ahead and bring those back down just a little bit here. You can see we can change the feathering here, and this gives us kind of this almost kind of like this caustic crystal-like projection. I'll go ahead and increase this. You can see kind of like a kaleidoscope effect, but a little bit cleaner because of the feathering around the edges. It blends a little bit easier. And you can see you could always adjust the opacity here to dial back into your original shot. And we have these other options like the rotate around the point of interest. We have the incremental scale, which will adjust the scale based off the point of interest area. You can see as I bring this to the negative and the positive here, it changes which mirrors are getting scaled. Next, we have the scale deviation, which is just going to be a random scaling. And then we have position deviation, which is random positioning, and then random seed, you can see. Again, I really like the mirrors effect. I think it's kind of a parallel to the magnifying glass effect. Definitely a lot of creative uses with it. All right, guys, this has been Charles Yeager for Metal. Thanks for watching.